Warning: this video may contain vulgar language and adult content. If you are easily offended or are susceptible to events pertaining to death, gore, family troubles, or other potential threats, then know that viewer discretion is advised. Please be safe when viewing and stop the video if you need to. Safety is far more important to us than entertainment, so please enjoy your time here with us as we explore this fantasy world.
I'm also the DM, so just since this will be an all-audio podcast, it'll be a little bit difficult to discern people's voices, as some of us are very similar. But do your best, and I will do my best to edit in the best I can. So, where we last left off, you guys had the mission from Greenest to go...
Beautiful. That was very beautiful. What a great way to start this podcast.
Forgot my own rules. Anyways. And he just shouts at the top of his lungs. All right, our traveling direction will go as follows to make it to Waterdeep. We are going to be traveling to Tradeway, so in order to make it there, we will first be heading to Dragonspear, to our northeast, the town of Dragonspear. In order to make it there, we will have to cut across Trollclaws and the winding waters that follow inside of it. For safety, we'll have the positioning the carts as follow. Each cart will have an associated cart following them per day that will travel approximately 50 feet apart. The rest will remain 200 feet away, so best to not get tangled up should something arise or occur. In the head of the caravan will be us to direct the rest of you. Then 200 feet back will begin your numbers. Decide amongst the lot who wants to be a pair and where you will be associated inside the cartel. Positions will not be changed during the travel unless agreed upon by both parties. It will take about 2 weeks to make it to the town of Dragonspear. During this time, we will travel for 12 hours per day, 10 hours for rest, and then 2 hours in the morning for prep. By this point, you will not receive aid from the rest of the formation if you break away, or forced to break away. We will continue on our path until you either make your way back, or you do not return. If you do not return, your spot will be filled in by the rest of the cartel in order for safety in numbers. Alright, you don't notice because they're not really focusing around you. You definitely notice they're getting lower. They're now about 150 feet away from you.
Go for get ready, arrows.
Alright,
These birds are coming lower, and they're still here after quite a while.
With a 22 as well, they're at the height where you can actually get more distinguishing factors. They have horns. And one of them is massive in comparison to the rest. He has
we have a dire one?
Nope, it's different. He has a pulsating black heart that's got, on its chest that's, pushing through these black veins that are leading around it.
Oh, my flask.
Oh, no. Sticks a torch on the ground, like that.
Okay. A torch is lit on the ground, embedded into the mud.
Randall just goes, that's the best I got for you.
I do have 10 torches.
Most people do.
Yeah.
Randall has 9.
That now has 9, which will most likely, if that burns the rest of the night, it will be gone.
Yeah.
How long does this last?
About 4 hours.
Alright, so I add 2 more onto that.
So you add 2 more torches that are now lit.
Which will all last only 4 hours.
Exactly.
It reminds me of that one episode of Avatar, that Last Airbender.
Never seen it.
They got stuck in a cave.
Oh yeah, I know what
And
you're talking about.
then they had these torches that last for
I have seen
and
this
they last for an hour, and they had how many do you have? 10? So it lasts 10 hours!
Yeah.
You put them all at once!
I remember that. I do remember that. That is early in the
really
Avatar too.
intense.
That's the only reason why I've seen it. It looks like the rain is either keeping things away, or it's making it too difficult to traverse normally under circumstances. Because what ends up happening is the side that's not part of the main road begins to nearly liquefy. It's now disgusting mud. It's got small pools of puddles that have the same colorful liquid that's also inside of it that seems to be mixing with the water, like an oil-like effect,
Oh, okay.
and doesn't look sanitary at all.
It just starts to bubble.
It does not bubble, but it does grow as the rain is continuing. Eventually, you're seeing like small little mushrooms kind of sprout up from the ground as well. You don't. You can make a nature check if you want.
Ooh, I'm gonna do it.
Man, he sounds like me the first few.
Nature check,
Oh, let
baby.
me eat this purple mushroom.
Yeah.
Alright,
The
so,
purple mushroom that
Yeah.
fucking 24 damage to me.
so I got a. That's a funny roll, but yeah, that's literally how it landed.
What is
That
it?
was amazing. It's an 18.
It's an 18 plus my 1, 19.
You can look at them and they're just purple fungus. They're not like any threatening or you know that probably eating them is probably not good for you. It's probably not deadly, but probably not good for you because they give out this toxin that when they are broken. He looks to the other two men. They kind of converse. The boy on top just kind of rolls his eyes and just still looks pretty bored. It'll be 50 gold per the lot, per each of you, to essentially take one of the rooms from us. If you want to be outside of the rain or be with the pigs, that's your decision. But 50 gold.
Let's fight him.
Wait, so he's allowing
you
Jackie
can start
and
raging
one
if you
other
want.
person
Yes.
to be in a room? She's like,
Wait, how much gold was I given?
You are given about 15. Even expensive inns and royalty inns
Yeah.
generally aren't even a gold. Like this is absurdly overpriced for a room per person.
Exactly, an alien.
Gopher goes in
Yeah.
rage mode.
You can go. So you go into a rage.
Yeah.
He already
Hold on.
did.
No,
I know,
I'm letting him do it.
but
Okay.
she's like, okay, I'll take it. Zacharias, come with me.
Before you do that, so you burst into a rage.
I burst
I
into
don't.
my rage.
I haven't held offer.
And she sees us, Zacharias, come with me.
Okay, hold on. So you burst into a rage.
I go into a rage and speak very angrily. So what are you gonna do about the rest of us then?
Make an intimidation check
Oh.
before anything else,
Yes.
because this will determine a few things.
Attaboy.
I got a 26.
Okay.
I love this
19
very
plus the 7.
sad. It's very.
Especially with his.
She will, but before she leaves, she'll also look at Gopher and be like, don't overdo it.
You're not out of the room yet because of a certain situation. So essentially, when you approach, your muscles are just tense and you're ridiculous. Because especially with like your armor, your light armor on, it's just showing quite a bit of your skin and muscles. You just approach, and how tall are you again? Like 6 foot something.
I'm exactly 6 foot.
So, as you approach, especially with 26 for an intimidation check, with his 6 that he rolled, you see his face drop. The two men stand up, and they go, "Look, we're not here to cause trouble."
By the way, at this point, Jacqueline's like hands in her face.
Randall's face has gone pale.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. All right? We'll be fine. He holds out his fist.
Okay. Do you want a fist bump or something?
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw with disadvantage.
Alright, well in that case, I'm still going to use this. I'm going to cast Tidal Wave and have it hit as many of them as I can.
Okay.
Tidal wave.
Yeah, that's a 3rd level druid spell as well. So it's not going to reach. You can absolutely reach these 3 if it's 10 feet wide, because that would be this wide. So you can hit these ones. And yeah, they're not going to get partial cover from the table either. So it's dexterity saving throws, correct?
Yep.
Okay, they do have evasion. So what's the spell save DC?
15.
Okay, that one saves. That one also saves, because their dex... yeah. Oh, it's +4 for their dex.
This is also bludgeoning damage.
Yes. It does. So what ends up happening is... Because it goes how far? 50 feet?
30.
30 feet out? Okay, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It would just barely hit all of them. Unfortunately, they all save the dexterity saving throw. As a result, because of evasion, they all just duck out of the way, and
and the effect does nothing.
I heard internally now, thank you.
Anything else you want to do with your movement?
Sorry that I wasted a third level spell slot.
Okay. Yeah, you're still on your ground, so I mean you can kind of curl up.
Who sent you and why?
We were told by a man in Waterdeep that a caravan would be coming with some people that we would want to kill. Apart from that, we don't know anything else. We don't know if you're the ones we're supposed to or not, but what are you rolling?
Insight.
Okay.
12.
That's about roll.
I believe him, I'm guessing.
What'd you roll? What was your dice? It's not.
I have
It's not.
10.
Yeah, it's not gonna be. Okay. Yeah, you both believe him.
still waiting for him to make the attacking.
He fully believes that he will live if he says what he wants or what they want. So with a 4 for insight, there's no way he's gonna be like, "You're lying to me," with 25 more points higher than him.
God. I mean, Randall's got it ready for him to try.
I figured.
Randall don't.
Where was your employer from? Do you know?
Waterdeep.
Waterdeep, okay.
He works with the Cult of the Dragon. That's as far as I know.
That's good to know, actually. Thank you very much.
What else do you know about him?
I never saw him, but my boss said that he was a half-orc man.
We're traveling with a half-orc man. We're traveling.
Okay. Well,
It's just you saying that, I can now tell that Max is like, fuck, I mean, it's true. I don't know, I just see like your eyes are like, well, yeah, that's true. We are riding with a half-orc man.
Well, grab what you want then.
Okay. He stands up very cautiously, goes over to the boss. He pulls open, if nobody's doing anything, he pulls open a pouch, and you can see when he kind of goes to it, he has to like reveal his stomach, and you can see there's a small explosion mark that's right here as well on his side. It's very similar to the same glasses that's up here as well.
Wait. Tell me, what is that mark on your boss's head and belly is?
Well, we're members of the Sparks. As you're digging, you're digging essentially because of the rain.
Treasure!
No, there's very like small mushrooms that have been growing in the sides. This has been going on for several days because of the amount of rain that you guys have been getting. Yeah, they're just very small and they're kind of sprouting up, but they're all over, so you kind of have to dig in the same place that they are. I need to get my book.
Uh-oh.
So as you dig into it, the mushrooms they burst pretty much instantly. They're not bursting into spores or anything like that, but they are bursting. And after they burst, they give off this very shrill like shriek that's just like, and it's very unnerving. The moment that you place the shovel into it, they just shatter and explode into the sound, and it's unnerving. It's not necessarily risky, but as you're continuing to dig, there's just more and more of the shrills as well. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh no.
What the hell is this?
Oh, I'm a little scared.
Those are those little fucking mushrooms that Jinx almost died from.
6.
As you're digging,
No.
you go to place your foot down and you keep stepping on them as well because you have to re-angle yourself to dig. Emotionally, this is affecting you. You actually you're hesitant now to try to dig, and it actually stops you from digging.
Asparagus!
Basically.
I need you to dig for me. I can't do this anymore. They just sound so sad. I can't do it.
I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Alright, watch this.
He's gonna roll 1.
Natural 20.
Wow. Damn.
So, what ends up happening for you, in the middle of your dreams, in the middle of your sleep, inside your own room, you begin to sweat. There is a point where, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, and in place of your normal, typical dreams that you sometimes have, this one feels different. There are flashes of images. picture of a purple-skinned creature with long fingernails.
Hey, buddy.
A point where there was a moment of image of you tied down by your hands and wrists to a post, and a picture once more of a blue flame skull that was in palm. At that point as well, it changed to a image of a large divot into the ground, several miles long, and it's just filled with sand. On the left side of it is this small pond-like lake almost, and going beyond it, you can see the picture changes once more to the interior of the same divot, and several explosions of the ground pop up with disgusting monstrosities' faces. And at that point, you hear in the back of your mind this cackling laughter of this horrible creature as it's just got gnarled teeth, and it fades further, and you can see this purple-skinned face. And
It's Thanos.
and at that point, the dream fades. You're able to still get your normal slumber, but it was very uncomfortable for you.
Okay.
The rain has stopped. However, the mushrooms are massive.
Am I in a mushroom forest?
You're not in a mushroom forest. They're about waist high.
Oh no.
And you kind of just push them around to get to... Because these mushrooms, they were not hostile towards you. You kind of just gently brush them aside, and they actually do kind of like skirt by, and you just find a winding path to the cabin.
I'm gonna warn. I'm gonna mention that to them and be like,
I mean, I'm pretty sure we all know.
Wow. No. Because you didn't leave the cabin yet.
I'm
I said it was probably my horse.
Also,
Well, yeah, okay.
tread carefully outside. The mushrooms are about
Yeah, they probably
waist high or higher.
they probably knocked Jacko unconscious again, if anything.
What?
Wait,
No, don't worry about it.
who were they telling this to?
Everyone in the room, so yeah, you would hear.
How big is her hood?
Enough to cover your face.
Does anyone have duct tape? Or something to secure her hood so she has a blindfold?
I have hemp and rope. I don't know if that's gonna really do
No,
anything.
You can close your eyes.
Dude, that won't help. That will not help. She very hastily puts her robe over her face and then holds like, someone don't let me see.
You guys realize when we cast spells, nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
We cast a lot of it too.
Jacqueline will, pointing at the ground, cast another firebolt to see if it's still...
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird.
Basically, you say this, and then Jacqueline, like, quickly, like, a light bulb perks up. Yeah, that's weird.
Maybe we finally went out of their, continent or something? Maybe we're in a new area that doesn't get affected by this wild magic.
We're not at the world of magic.
Unknown magic.
Can I hear him say this?
I mean, we're all outside now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're all now just traveling normally.
No, we're not.
Oh. Then how do you explain the not wild magic happening?
You remember the squids that squirted you, who made you all stinky?
Yeah.
Wild magic.
Yes, that's a good point. But then how? Why?
I think its effects might have gotten weaker, maybe.
How much have you done?
Nothing. Gopher is still sleeping.
Oh, Hammer, are you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
as long as he sleeps on the cart, that's fine. Anyone want to wake him up? I don't want to bother him from his beauty sleep.
Are we moving here or are we not?
Not yet. You're not yet moving.
So when Ryder says that, Jacqueline's like, alright. She gets under the cart and shakes Gopher.
Okay. He doesn't wake. Gopher, I need you to once again make a wisdom saving throw. 17. Okay. So once again, the images begin to pile on, except this time they feel different.
Jacqueline's there, and you see a Jacqueline.
Jack, watch out! There's a moment where You see, once again, yourself tied down and the blue skull emerging, however, they're more clear. And at that point, the blue flaming skull that is in the palm of purple hand, you can see part of the flame flickers towards your body. And in that moment, you feel physical harm in your dream. At this point, you then feel yourself cut from that. The laughing once again maniacally happens, and you wake up. You did not get a long rest.
Oh, fuck. Alright.
And your hit point maximum is reduced by 3.
Dang it.
Was this the day or the whole time?
You don't know. Night begins to hit again. However, you also, all the carts that are in front of you come to a halt.
What's happening?
You hear soft clopping as a man in a robed figure once again shows up, pulls down his hood, and he's got the brownish hair.
Outside the swamp, just for one nice.
He's a part
We're
of
going
the
to, so we're going to be reaching Troll's Claw here in the better part of an hour or so. We are going to sleep here now, because what's going to happen is it's going to take us 2 days to get through. However, in doing so, to get through in only 2 days, we are not going to be stopping. Ergo, sleeping is going to be near impossible inside of the swamp. So you're going to be going 2 days without rest. So sleep now, because you're going to need it. I don't know how to say this. I don't trust either of you anymore. I don't know. There's been a lot of talk. And he kind of like glances around the room very quickly, like just all over the room. There's been a lot of talk, and I just don't think that I should have hired you guys. So please leave. Like in general, when we make it to Dragon Spear, just leave. I'll find other guards.
In the middle of nowhere.
We're in Dragon Spear. It's a city. Not right now. Once we make it to Dragon Spear.
So you don't want our service now, then? You sure about that?
Well, I'll take it now. I mean, if you're gonna give it, I'll take it now. But
You're not in good condition to think. Are you really sure about this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can see he's just rubbing his hands and his fingers very meticulously, and he's kind of. You can see that there's a nervous breakdown that's happening on him, more or less. Yeah, it's pretty evident that he's breaking down.
Yeah, because of that 2 days of no sleep, you dumbass.
You want Randall to come in here and
flying
help you
elbow
with
just
this
knocks
I asked Tyler like before, like if I can knock him out.
Yeah, you can knock someone out.
Yeah.
You go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he would trust you anymore if you do that.
I mean, it's already happened once.
He's having it now. That's the thing. I trust my companions, and he already has one person I really trust early. So what do I need to roll?
What?
Oh! To knock him out to sleep.
Oh, okay. This will be contested. So, like, how are you trying to knock him out? So you light a torch, go inside. The moment that you pass through, from the outer experience, vanish. Interior experience, Zakaris and Gopher. Zakaris a few moments before Gopher, but you'll see the same thing. The swamp is still there, but the ground itself has grass. There's a very faint shimmer of sparkling light in a dome structure almost. The structure itself is not very big. It's maybe about 40 feet, 50 feet in diameter. And in the center of it, there's a very small pool of water. The deer that you essentially had followed is not there. Instead, near the water is this creature. They are humanoid, but the bottom half of them are hooves. They have fur from the waist down and have hooves.
It's like Mr. Tongue looking from freaking...
From The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, a satire.
Oh, okay.
And,
Satyr.
whatever,
Satyr.
satyr.
And he has the silver stag horns or the stag antlers that the previous one had.
Okay.
And he is very yellow. Like he's got golden skin, golden fur from the waist down.
It's deer.
Generally a very beautiful man. Ooh, that's
me.
on there. He's
So
hot.
Zacchaeus almost fucked
He
me.
has very solid yellow eyes as well.
It's me.
Zacchaeus, this guy's pretty good looking, man.
It's Ryder.
He's fucking smoking, holy shit.
Yeah. So after 15 minutes, Zacchaeus and Gopher emerge from the darkness with a torch in hand, with a stag deer as well following behind them. In tow, yeah.
Asparagus? What's that?
A friend of ours. He is not a deer, but in fact a satyr.
A what?
A goat man.
But he,
Is he hostile at all?
Not at all.
He's a friend of ours.
can you trust him?
100%.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, if you trust him, then
Does
maybe
he
I'll
want
trust him too.
to try to disguise
So-
him as he's a one unarmed
Well,
mouse?
so why is he here?
The one,
We need to escort him to a doorway back to his realm.
To his realm.
What do we get from that?
Undying loyalty of a friend.
I mean,
You're
what
a
is...
fucking idiot.
I mean...
I hope you know that.
What
No, trust me.
talking about? Like, is he like a god or something, or?
Close.
No, he's just a dude. He can't get home, and he's been here for what did he say?
Decades.
Decades of being cursed. Okay, so when you grab the rations, he goes up to the door and starts to unlock all the locks.
Get out.
He opens the door, or
He's just unlocked it. After he unlocks it, he goes and hides, basically diving into more piles of pillows like he's done before. Whenever the gate's been open.
open the gate halfway.
Okay.
Shout to Jinx. Hey Jinx, can you come closer?
Who?
Jinx, come on.
Who? What?
Come closer. I gotta pass out rations to you guys.
Don't suffocate me.
Make an acrobatics check or strength or an athletics check.
Oh.
With disadvantage.
What?
12. As he says that,
Is that I can either strength or
it's athletics or acrobatics?
I'll do acrobatics.
Okay. What's your total?
So it'll be 19.
19? Okay. With a natural 19, he meets your DC because he doesn't have anything for his strength. What you see, Jacqueline, after you turn to see Rex, who's holding out like a couple of rations in his hand, and he's asking you to come closer, you see Harvey from behind him shove him with a very small halfling man. Has a very large amount of force behind this, and he shoves Rex outside of the door, and you fall face first into the mud, just sinking. Not sinking, but like the moment you hit it, you can feel like there's this suction. It's just disgusting. Zacchaeus, glancing around at everyone, you can tell that people are exhausted, like I said before. You turn around and look at Ryder and Mead, and that's when you see they're about 40 feet behind the cart, not rushing, but keeping a steady pace behind them. Looks to be this creature that has long clawed nails and slightly disheveled, like what you can consider hair. It looks more like solidified vines around its head, and it's got a long snout with sharp fangs, and it's just got this disgusting green and black skinned tone to it. It's not charging the cart, but it's staying relatively 40 feet behind. You can also tell that it's not inhibited by the sludge in any way. So it would be able to very easily catch up but it's staying about 40 feet behind.
I will very calmly point it out to everybody else.
Jacqueline, make a perception check.
With disadvantage.
Yeah.
Fuck. Let's hope that that's the disadvantage. Of course it's not. 6.
6? Okay. So what happens is you...
Nothing. We made it.
Well, you do see something. Not the stealthiest of creatures, these guys are. So what ends up happening? And I'm going to need people to be silent for this because it's going to be very important. Except for Jacqueline, because this will be dependent on you. What happens? The cart's continuing its pace. From behind a tree up ahead, you can see this green figure as well. It's about 20 feet. It's right behind a 10-foot long or a 10-foot wide tree. As it gets closer, and you kind of glean towards it, you can tell it's one of these creatures. And it places a claw on the tree trunk and leaps towards you. You have 6 seconds to react. What do you do?
She will move out of the way.
When he speaks about Harvey being potentially not a political figure and how it would be a grave insult to attempt to ask for a one-on-one conversation with the Grand Maven, there's a slight tinge in part of his face that he hasn't had before.
Well, you're not wrong. That seems sketchy, but...
Well, because... Okay, she's gonna make a call here.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a call.
Okay.
Since I'm the only one who sees it, and he's half orc, I will, in his native language, ask, "What's wrong, friend?"
I'm not entirely understanding what you mean.
You seem off. You seemed off when you were talking about the grant. There was a little reaction.
Maybe it's the smell. It's not anything that I would understand. You can make an insight check.
I got 214.
After he speaks about, there's that same tinge again. After he says there's nothing wrong. Maybe it's the smell.
What's up?
Nothing. You can see, essentially, he's got a tell going. Every time that he's lying, that there's that tinge. That's what your insight's giving you.
She leans forward and says, "There's something you're not telling me."
I don't feel comfortable talking about that. I mean, I have my own personal business, and it involves the Grand Maven, so I'm not going to be telling you anything.
Okay.
Once again, when he says the Grand Maven, when it's involving Grand Maven, there's that tinge once more.
I will try making myself as big as possible and intimidating him, asking being as assertive as I can. Who is the Grand Maven? Every time you say Grand Maven, you're lying about something. Yeah, I mean,
still
Jack will
terrified.
absolutely go talk to Mead.
Okay, so you just hang out with Mead, just back up. Says, greetings.
In light of recent events, the first thing she will ask is, "Who are you?"
I'm Mead. Well, Mead's more of a nickname, really, but it's my franchise. I make plenty of money. Not on my beer, obviously.
It's good beer!
You're lying to me.
I've had some of that beer. He's not lying. I will do an insight check just to see about to see if he's telling the truth
Go ahead and roll an insight
about
check.
what he is. Mostly to see if he's telling the truth, to see if I can trust him.
Oh, I
This
got
is
you.
the trolls.
Oh my god.
What? Trolls. With disadvantage.
What do you expect
Wow.
out of
Okay. That's a 16.
You kind of see he's really not hiding it very well. He is essentially sweating after answering your question.
Oh, God damn it.
You just hear Randall just like, fuck. Just for no reason, doesn't hear any of this. You just hear him going,
Popping everyone.
no, but just total metagame joking.
Okay,
Anyways.
so I completely.
Oh, you can easily tell he's full of shit.
Okay.
With a 3 on his roll.
Oh, God.
Roll a natural 18, then a 3. This exhaustion has been affecting everyone else more than them.
Because of the trolls, because of Harvey, because of everything, she immediately grabs him, pulls out Moonshadow, and holds it to his neck. Who are you? It's time I told you guys.
You're in love with me?
I haven't
Over his ears.
I haven't necessarily been deceitful to you, mostly because no one's asked. But it's time you knew, since obviously you have guessed apparently.
Randall.
Yeah, you let some
Yeah,
obvious
I let it
comments
slip.
sound in your discomfort.
My full name. She will stand up at this point if she can.
Yeah, you stand up, the cart little wobbles a bit because of the beer and the...
She stands up,
Oh,
she
fuck,
brushes
sauce.
she brushes off her shoulders, kind of makes herself look as proper as possible, puts the tiara on her head.
Sir.
My full name is Jacqueline Emerald Ash River of the Ash River line of tieflings for the kingdom of Zakara. I am the crown princess and, as far as I know, queen of that kingdom. The reason I did not tell you this before is because I don't know if there's a kingdom left for me to go to.
So you're
What would
kind
I
of a
roll to
princess.
hear and to know if I've heard anything that's from my
This would be
job?
a history check.
Hey, I'm gonna roll the same thing.
You can, for sure.
What have I learned being essentially a spy for the Church of Bahamut?
Well, you're venturing outwards towards trying to find your sister has brought you all around the world, essentially.
Oh, I mean, I am the Inquisition. We searched this world.
Yes,
for
you've gone in
evil.
search for a lot, also going in search for your own decision on trying to find your sister. The the city of Zakara is Zakara. Sorry, it was a city that was ruled by a family of tieflings. It had a very strong lineage with their fiend nature, but essentially were once a very strong figure in allied forces, typically involving they had a very large amount of military force revolving around their nature, being nearby the Dijini Desert as well. It was on the southern continent of Wolsk. What?
The genies.
Oh, Dijini.
Dijini Desert, yeah.
But the city had many decades ago been attacked. One decade ago. Sorry. Was as far as many have known, destroyed or at least raided by a very large force of orcs. They got access into the city and began to slay the entire town.
Okay. Basically,
Your
you
Majesty.
guys heard what I told them, and I told you the exact same thing.
So while this is happening, we're going to cut, because that's going to take a while to essentially relay everything. We're going to go over to you. Roll perception check with disadvantage.
Fuck.
The Alan's caravan.
Or do you have advantage on Whisperers? Is that what the feature was that I gave you?
It might be, actually.
I think it is. If not, I'm pretty sure I meant to have it be that. Because it's essentially you have advantage on gathering rumors.
Yeah, advantage on gossip gathering.
Gossip gathering. This would count as that.
Like so, 13.
So 13.
Is this from our inventor card? Is he from passing by our inventor friend card?
This is for approaching Alan's cards.
Oh god! They mobilize.
As soon as you say your queen, odds bow down. It's like
Okay.
Majesty.
We'll get back to that.
It's very difficult to hear because you're kind of going in. You're trying. Your horse is making its clopping into the mud, and as you approach, you can hear bits and pieces, but it's very difficult to hear. Upon first glance, you think that they're kind of discussing about like maybe their day, but when you get closer, their speech is not coherent sentences. They're using common, but not in a sentence. They're just using different words.
Oh god damn it! You should have brought me with or Gilbert.
Yeah, you don't happen to know thieves' camps, do you?
Damn it!
Also, an important thing. I couldn't catch it. I was trying to eavesdrop on the conversation before I arrived there. They spoke in England, regular commoner language, but they were saying in weird words and
Can you
phrases.
recall it?
You can make an intelligence check to try to see if you memorize what they were like talking
broke,
about.
Randall's like, can you remember it?
11. What is it? Intelligence?
Intelligence check, yeah.
So yeah, just 11.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good though. For that's enough to essentially recall because you were only hearing bits and pieces of it. Yeah, you can relay that in a semi-successful way.
They were kind of saying stuff like, okay,
Yeah, and you
Is it
explain.
enough that I could take what
You
he says
can.
and translate?
You can. It's not a full sentence. It's more or less about 3 words, and it says, "Keep her hidden."
So what does that mean?
Well, they're trying to keep someone female hidden. Why did you just...
Alright, so
I can only imagine that they mean the Grand Maven
Yeah,
because they are her bodyguards.
yeah,
What
we
what
get
is
some
that
of
language?
Let's go see her
Thieves
for ourselves.
I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, that's not everything we can do yet.
The sound of the passing water is also getting louder and louder as you guys are spending more time essentially just approaching something.
So we all can hear. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it's pretty loud.
So guys,
I'm
water. You think it's clean water?
Doubt it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
High hopes.
Yeah. High hopes.
I hope. I doubt it.
High hopes, high hopes. It's off. What are we doing?
Well, wait. If we
We can't even stop by.
Because
We
create
have
water
to
is
go.
a cantrip.
Oh,
Or
Okay.
that's shape water, I think.
Yeah.
shape water is, yeah.
Okay, so we'll find out when we get close to it if it's clean or not.
If it's close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think it matters because we can't stop anyway.
Can we
Yeah.
estimate how far? Like,
You estimate pretty close because after about 10 minutes,
It just start. You just start getting wet.
the carts in front of you all begin to go at a snail's pace. That you're starting to close distances on each other, and immediately you hear the loud man, the one man that the brown-haired man is.
The only guy we've seen from the tarp.
Yeah, I just hear the voice.
You can lean over and you can actually see like it's cart to cart to cart to cart. Every cart right now has started to approach each other to the point where you're about
Literally,
20 feet
I'm leaning
apart.
over about.
Move
Are
it!
we
It's a green
stop?
light!
Being.
We've reached the winding ways, the waters, river side, and we have a problem. It's far too fast for us to ford through it. And at that point, you can actually hear as the water has shifted partially and it's just gotten stronger, slows down, gets to a snail, gets even slower than it normally does, and then just speeds up once again. It's very erratic in its river speed.
The fuck kind of river is
So
this?
what's your
You
plan?
you remember from what Zacchaeus essentially relayed during his check before even starting when you were discovering about Troll's Claw, that the Winding Way River, has been known to change complete river direction in between several weeks apart. This might have something to do with its erratic nature right now, is that it can change going downriver to going upriver for no reason, as far as anyone can
Alright, I have a plan. And you guys know how that goes.
Oh, I'm not there, so.
We're not
You can hear him, but
No one let him have a plan. No one let him have a plan.
So, besides me, the sad thing is it can't be me or Asparagus because we're the ones digging and making the bridge. But, so, we'll have someone carry a whole bunch of metal on them. We won't burn them. We'll try to save some as best as we could. We'll have them distract these slime monsters while we form the bridge and get everyone across.
Fine. I mean, that. My only concern is that if we're going through it, my cart's got metal on it. They might just latch on to that.
That's why the person's distracting them. We'll
I'll
try
do
to
it.
get them far away as possible.
I'll do it.
You'll do it?
Because I can walk on water.
I mean, I was gonna cast fly on whoever was gonna do it.
I can still walk on water. You don't need to do that.
Alright.
Alright, well, it looks like you've got your plan.
Alright. So that'll be our plan. Hopefully it works. Now we need more, just in case, more protection and maybe more help so she won't be running for like hours. Anyone else willing to help us make the blockade bridge?
The man in yellow armor that's on the Lard Lord's cart pitches in. Well, if you're looking for a distraction, he looks down, completely decked in plate armor. I suppose I could do what I can to help.
Oh. Alright, you can go along with her so just in case one of you guys get in a tight spot, you can help each other out. And there was also 2 of them. Who knows, there might be more too.
Yeah, you've essentially created the bridge.
Okay.
How long it'll last, you're unsure, but it's enough to at least be wide enough for the rest of your cart.
Alright, so everyone across the bridge, one at a time. One cart at a time. And any of you guys could lighten the load from your cart to make it across safely. Take whatever off that you can, and go across and walk.
So, the brown-haired dude will just like put his fingers to his mouth and just do a whistle, just. My mouth can't whistle. But, and the horses pick up speed as the one that's at the range just quickly yaws it. And it starts to rush forward, so that way there's gaps in between each cart. So it makes it somewhat safely across.
Check the bridge, Asparagus. What is it? How's it look?
Zacharias, you can make an investigation check.
Alright.
I will too. Why not?
Yeah.
Right there.
14.
Disadvantage for Zacharias.
Oh.
Great, yes. 9.
Okay, you're looking at it. Looks pretty sturdy. There's like bits and pieces up because you essentially used mud and just reinforced mud to it because that's the only kind of earth that's near you.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of sludgy, but it looks like it's still pretty sturdy. Second cart, which would be the second of the head caravan's cart. This guy's gonna get onto it as it passes by.
Thank you for your help, guy.
There's like 3/4.
Yeah. Still got his horse. He's just going behind that cart as they progress
Didn't
forward.
say anything when I said thank you.
He was very focused on trying to get across, so no, he didn't have to stop. He puts back up his hood, and that's about it. They make it across fairly safe. Up next would be
The Lard Lord, I think.
Yes, the Lard Lord and then Alan. So the Lard Lord goes across, safe and sound.
How's the bridge looking again? I'm gonna check it again.
Alright, yeah, you can go ahead and check. Zacharias, you can as well with disadvantage.
I mean, it's better than 7 now. I think it's fine.
14.
4 or 14?
14.
Okay, it cut off the T. It sounded like you said 4. Okay, so you're looking at it. You can see that bits and pieces of it have been kind of breaking away as the cart's been progressing over it. But through the magical means of moving it, you've been able to reinforce it, breaking away any kind of air gap that it might have. So it's actually very sturdy. It looks like it's essentially you've created a makeshift bridge until the Winding Way River eats away at it naturally. With that investigation, you kind of also surmise that it's not going to collapse from these bridges or from the carts, so me rolling didn't actually do anything. So,
I like to roll a 20 and straight.
No. Literally, I rolled like 2 17s, a 3. I was like, man, those are cool numbers. So, there are several creatures that are along the sides of the road. They're not being hostile, but they're being pretty attentive. They have this Though some of them are very stealthy and are essentially nearly impossible to see, except for the 19 that Ryder saw them with. They have like camouflaged mud on. They're kind of hiding up against trees. Some of them just have green skin or are just like ducking underneath, trying to just blend in with the black ground, completely oblivious to their own stupidity.
They're on the road where they're going just getting right over.
They have an advantage, and I rolled a natural 1 and a 3. So they're not very stealthy. But you can see they're very clearly like frog creatures. Like they're standing on legs. They have these very small spears at hand. They're not pointing them towards you, but they're kind of being very attentive about it, and they're not being hostile. But you can see as you've been progressing further and further after these 10 minutes, you saw only a few led to a number of them, led to quite a few of them, and now you're starting to see like atop trees, like several different buildings that are covered with like small wooden bridges connecting them. The huts that are above these trees are very ramshackle, tiny. So, after about another few minutes of approaching this massive tree and seeing the figure that was up there, you kind of pass it, and he just keeps his eye on your cart as it approaches.
The big guy?
The big guy. And after a moment, he clops his staff down, and his throat kind of engorges briefly. And this disgusting, loud resonates through the entirety of this place.
What did he say?
It wasn't a part of the language, as far as you can tell, because nobody else would understand. Except I'll let you, since you have to comprehend languages going on, and it's just basically at the cusp of it. It was more of an incantation. And in that moment, the rest of you hear the sound of just bark creaking, the wood shattering and just breaking off, as the limbs on this giant tree start to move and slowly become solidified and just start to creak forwards. And eventually it breaks portions of itself, and you can see essentially it has arms and legs.
Treant, good.
Yeah, it is essentially a rotting treant, as far as players would know. And you've heard pretty common occurrences about tree-living creatures. It starts to move slowly towards the cart, essentially. To our cart? To your cart. Me's still behind you, and you can see he's freaking out.
Specifically our cart, or just...
Yes. It's still behind everyone, but you can see that it's got a face, and it's just running towards... Running now. It's sped up. And atop of it is still the essential hut with the big creature on it. He's still making the sound as well. It's just consistently reverberating in this area. So he's going to... Essentially, it's like a staff, but the 2 points on it act as a spear.
Oh.
So he's just going to swing forwards at you with it. First attack is 16.
Ooh, that's what it is.
Okay. So you take 3d8 damage.
What?
Because he's using a feature. So you take 10 points of piercing damage from the first strike.
Ooh.
And then there's this immediate feel of just this poison sinking into you. 15 points of poison damage.
Oh no, then I'm down.
You're down?
Oh yeah, that's how much of an angry had.
Okay. Well, he was going all out against you, so the second attack is going to be against you as well. That's a 19 to hit, so you take 2 death saving throws immediately as well. Because he hits you, and since you're unconscious, it acts as a critical hit.
Okay.
Ooh, damn.
So, go for what you see is the spear puncture through Ryder, this sickly green energy coursing through his body, yanking out, and you can see him now looking at you as he stabs forwards at Ryder again.
Oh shit!
And he just speaks in this because he can speak common with his guttural sounds.
Okay.
Leave. People start to pass out. Is someone going to try to be on watch?
You'll be on watch.
I'll be on watch for now.
Okay, you can make a perception check.
Who are you?
The rest of you guys are essentially getting sleep. Unless you guys wanted to do something else in this time.
13.
13?
I knocked the fuck out.
Randall also knocks the fuck out. He passes out holding the reins to the cart.
Oh god.
I just passed out all my horse.
Well, the cart stops, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
So
the
does
devil
the-
stuff.
She doesn't give a shit.
You just pass out on the dirt.
Yeah, she's just so even.
The horses also pass out.
I can just imagine like everyone just tipping over.
It acts like a blanket to Jacqueline. It's just
Yeah.
partially on her.
Basically.
Zacharias, did you just want to sleep then as well?
Can I check on the deer first?
Yeah, go ahead and make just make a. So you go up to the deer. The deer is also still like shaken up, but not panicked like it was before. You can see its like yellow eyes when you approach, just look at you as it kind of brings its head up. You can still see that it also has bags under its eyes, and he's extremely tired.
It's okay for a friend. You can sleep. Start for the day.
I pat it on the head, and then I go pass out.
Okay, so you pat him on the head, and then
Falls down.
after just patting on the head, you just fall backwards, passed out onto the dirt. You can see Shayla's cart passed out. People on that cart passed out. There was someone that was on watch. He falls asleep. The Lord's cart, everyone's unconscious.
And you just see the water rolling away.
Blowing air just rolls over the carts. Your 3 guards completely unconscious. Mead completely unconscious. One of the guards just passed out over the barrel.
One hugging. Just.
Essentially, everyone has fallen asleep.
Everyone.
It's like the middle of the day too, right?
It's not the middle. It's starting to get into sunset. After like another few hours, it'll probably come to dusk and just get dark. You quickly realize, since everyone's been awake for 2.5 days,
Definitely.
except for you, they tried to have people on watch who failed and just fell asleep.
So I'll get up and start walking around the camp. The carts then.
All of them?
Yep.
So what I'm sorry, what did you do?
I'm with asparagus. We're going off like away from the carts a bit until we start moving.
Yeah, essentially you have extra time to get everything situated for what had occurred before.
Okay.
So.
Alright, so I make sure I look around.
Okay. You don't see anyone nearby?
Okay, so asparagus.
What'd you say, by the way, Rex?
I was joking.
Oh, okay.
So asparagus, while everyone was sleeping, I thought it was a good chance for me to sneak around the camp a bit. Their carts for a bit. I found out a lot of stuff. A few things, not a lot. I'll do with the least important one. The cart in the front.
Alright.
The one that is covered in the tart.
Yeah, those ones.
Well, I found out it's one of the carts is filled with food, just regular old food, probably vegetables and such, and the other one is pretty much treasure and money, and some old artifacts from what I saw. I couldn't tell what they were. There was like statues, talismans, and such. I didn't open too many bags. I didn't want to be too obvious, but that's what I found.
To specify which cart was which, by the way, the one that had the money in it was the second cart, not the one in the front.
The one in the front's the food.
The one in the front front's the food.
Okay. And that's what I found about that. I couldn't do anything else. And the cart with the food on it, though, had a chest in it. Had a chest with a lock on it.
Did you open it up?
It had a lock on it. I can open it.
Oh, I mean, fine. Fair.
And then, okay. Next thing. You might like this one. I'm not sure if it happened up there. I don't hear screaming, so it probably didn't happen. I cut loose the horse, but it was still asleep. And I decided to leave it loose. And I don't know. I'm not sure if it left in the morning or not. Here's the big one now. Like, very, very big. I make sure I look around again.
Make a perception check.
Calvin has actually fallen.
You don't see anyone nearby. I'm sorry.
So I went up to Alan's cart, the one they had with the name of the person they were holding.
The Grand Maven?
Yeah. It's called with the Grand Maven in it. I tried opening the door. It was locked, obviously. I heard inside it was a woman. So yeah, Grand Maven, blah blah blah. And then I found an old damaged part somewhere on the cart. I pushed it open, and I saw that mage chick. You know who I'm talking about? The one over there with Alan's group?
The one who tried to help Gopher, right?
Yeah, that one. It was just her in there. No one else.
You recall that Dragonspear, for one, was a head figure in a recent civil war several decades ago, or at least history foretold it. It was recently after the Great Gods War, the Primer, and go to the bathroom. Okay. They were a very large central location for a lot of battles. They came with Dragonspear because a lot of the military force that stayed and presides in Dragonspear are draconic individuals. They also are called the Drac Knights, where they wear solidified black metal armor, obsidian, essentially, textured. And they have a same textured shield with the same kind of textured spear. So they walk with essentially pitch black armor on and weaponry that was very powerful against the Civil War and their defensive force rather than their offensive. That's why Dragonspear essentially was named that, was because the head, the governor of that city at the time, was part of this covenant with. It was the Civil War was between 4 different cities, and the cities themselves were more like regions. They were, let me find it. They essentially set up fortresses of castles, and there's the Castle of Struben, which was to the north of Faerun, Castle Fastguard, which was to the south, Castle Distrube, which was to the east, which is the furthest from you, and Castle Farbar, which was to the west.
I'll just tell you that now.
That's fine. This is for Zacharis. And this was, Dragonspear was the main city figure for Castle Farbar many decades ago.
So it was one of the cities for the Civil War.
And the Castle of Farbar was the victorious of the 4.
And that's what Dragonspear is.
Essentially, Dragonspear was a head figure of their defensive force.
Alright.
So why is it called Dragonspear?
It's called Dragonspear because of the Drac Knights.
Okay.
Looking for an inn, you do find there's a store specifically that has what looks to be a pillow as a sign, and coming out of it, which would be feathers. There's a few feathers. There's also swords, shields, eyeglasses, very random objects coming out of this pillow. Through investigation and persuade or talking to other people, you find out that this store is the it is. Where's my name for this? No, my name. It must not have saved it. I have to remember it now. Or make one up again. The Calming Qualm, I'll call it.
Nice.
You think this is a safe man?
I mean, from what we heard around, yeah.
Look at the name.
It's a less stupid name than we've seen before.
Should we check inside beforehand? See?
Randall, you stay with Harvey, and we'll go check out this inn.
Okay. Nowhere near Randall during finding this. You're in the center of the city, and he's back in the wall.
Even close. Yeah.
You spend the better part of an hour searching the city as well. So you open the doors. There's plenty of people inside. You can actually see it's like a weird mixture between a tavern and a shop. There's 2 people manning both different sections of it. One, there's a fairly large dragonborn man that's there. There's a band playing in the corner of this tavern, several different patrons that are inside. Majority of them are dragonborn. There's a few tiefling, a couple of humans, some halflings as well. In the shop portion of it, you can see there's a white-scaled dragonborn individual who's just sitting there kind of impatiently looking around. He's got like thick glasses on the bridge of his nose, and his scales look to be a little bit older. Doesn't have that shine that other dragonborn have. And as you had entered, the music stopped, and all the patrons inside just look at you. Okay. So yeah, you both can hear the same thing. There's several different pieces of gossip that you end up picking up on. You hear a woman knocked off to the side. She's kind of just bickering about the cost of her products, of food, and the taxes. There's a pair of individuals that kind of look a little bit shady off to the side. They're complaining about how the guards are full of shit, and they're not. They're breaking all their own legal laws to cause whatever they desire.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those towns.
You see an individual who's a little bit injured, and you can see he says, starts talking about his friend from Waterdeep, and that apparently the Waterdeep had been attacked in the recent few days ago.
Oh.
It was only a small scale, but they destroyed old buildings with makeshift explosions. Another thing that you hear is two individuals that are kind of just whispering to themselves. They're just talking about how the prisoners of the Obsidian Mine, they found a small cave that looked like a ruin of sorts, and it's supposed to be like a relic of the past. The last thing that you hear is very similar to that is someone else butting into that conversation of them saying that they heard that the prisoners that were sent into the cave to investigate either never came out or were left screaming.
The ruin cave you're talking about?
The ruin cave, they either went in and didn't come back, or the ones that did come back were left screaming. So Yep, so I'm getting to my table. So on the counter, there looks to be a really massive mace that looks like it has like a skull's head with red ruby eyes. There's the rapier over in the corner. There is... Perhaps. You see a pair of goggles over that's like on like a head ring. There's about 6 different bottles of liquid. 4 of them you've seen as minor potions of healing. 2 of them are greater potions of healing.
Oh, God.
There's also one that looks like it has like rocky texture inside of it. It's got like several different layers or something. And you can see he kind of just like flips it around. And after it moves and all the liquids like mix together, they separate into 3 layers once again. He also has a pair of boots sitting up on there.
Excuse me, sir.
One moment. They're purchasing their things.
Alright. I'll pick up the rapier. Can I like examine it?
It's on the counter, but yeah, you can look at it. Yeah, it's +1. It's a magic rapier. It's obsidian as well.
So be good people and buy it, or
yes.
Wait, you're not there though.
Yeah, yes.
Well, there's stuff for
went to the harvest.
stuff for sleepyhead.
I went and got my gold and I came back. I'm not letting you too.
Okay. That's it.
Alright. How much gold do we all have? I have 40.
I have about 300.
But he's not gonna.
I'm not letting you use all of it. No.
Exactly. So I'd say heist.
I say no because we already know how that.
That's fine. Go to the bathroom, man. We're about to go to break anyway.
Yeah.
So.
We know that the guards are super strict. Right?
That's exactly what I was thinking. The one thing we thought went into those mines.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't hear this. Apparently, their prison is also a mine.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go into this mine,
I mean, depends on
jailbreak.
But we have to have a jailbreak by the time of by dawn tomorrow. Unless we could do this heist right away before we leave.
No.
Asparagus. No. What do you think, Asparagus?
Do it tonight, then we're leaving the party.
Yes.
See, that's what I was thinking.
No.
So that sounds like
I will have to kill all three of you.
And okay, unless then you would spend most of your gold for my rapier.
What else did we need besides the rapier?
I mean,
There was the goggles
Rex
and
wanted
knife.
the goggles.
Do you
So
have
like,
money for that?
in total, we need 575.
Alright, I'm still sticking with the heist.
There's also this mace. There's also that mace weapon that's 1500 gold, guys.
I mean, I'm down to share money, but I'm also down to heist.
Guess what? Randall's not being
not down to heist.
Not of justice.
Not down to heist,
Rex.
believe it or not.
What do you think? Heist or buy?
Be safer. Why? The government is really strict here.
Also, you have someone who worships a god of justice.
You wake up by this point.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know
Can
that.
we just go?
How appreciate
Oh,
it.
You want a heist or do you
No,
want to
I
buy?
I'm in the room. Are you guys in the same room?
Yeah. They brought you to the
Did you
room.
know he was a god of justice?
I wake up and I was like, what the fuck happened?
We're thinking of doing a heist or buying something.
You guys, I will kill you if you do a heist. Especially you.
What ends up happening is after a few minutes of discussing whether or not to heist, you just hear Jacqueline and go, "What the fuck happened?" And Ryder says we're deciding on whether or not to heist. And before even explaining what the heist was for, Jacqueline goes, "I will fucking kill you if you do a heist."
She's too drunk to move. It's okay.
Okay, I'll be right back with your drinks then. A few moments come by. Yeah.
So guys, I still been thinking about the heist.
I'm down for the heist.
I am totally down for the
I
heist.
thought the heist was still on.
Well, let's go for it. We need a plan.
Alright. So do we need a way to relieve suspicion, or do we not want to go that route?
We have a mouse. We have someone who can transform.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's the safest way. Me too.
But that's
I
before we.
haven't been in there yet, so
That's,
if I do get caught, they won't recognize me, and I can sneak away.
I mean, they probably see us at the table right now.
The three of you roll stealth checks quick.
Okay.
Is that a group thing or
Just those three.
10.
Can I ask? Where's
17.
drinks?
James is in the room. Jacqueline's in the room. What did you say, Zakaris?
17.
So as you guys are currently talking, the barmaid, she comes back with her 8 drinks in hand. So what's this about a heist? She puts out the 8 drinks.
Oh, we're a caravan, and we're planning to steal from another member of our group.
Still a member of your group?
Yeah, we actually just came in town with a caravan, and I saw some stuff they had in there, and they had pretty nice stuff in there. Pretty sure they
We've
won't
been
miss a few.
arguing over a smaller rig. That's kind of a running joke that we steal it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Zakaris, make a deception check. With advantage because it's being helped by Ryder.
What, sorry?
Deception check?
With advantage.
With advantage.
Natural 20.
Oh,
Alright. Yes. Well, wouldn't necessarily call that fun humor, but I mean, you guys do what you do.
we're traveling mercenaries. We need to do what we can for fun.
I suppose it's a long venture from Baldur's Gate, was it?
Yep, we're going to Waterdeep after tomorrow.
Very well. Well,
So,
here's your drinks. They're fine honeysuckle mead. So,
cheers, mates.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Based off of my own beliefs and the way I was raised, in order for me to have a future with anyone, I require a tiefling male who does not do heists. I pause for dramatic effect. So, that being said, what say you to that? She's smiling wickedly.
Seductively.
I am playing against time.
Sure you are.
Legitimately. No. I sold my soul.
Okay.
Is that what gave you your abilities before?
Yeah.
What do you need to do now?
Will not fulfill what was required. So, I am playing against time.
You're on
I
borrowed
won't be
time.
here. Yep. Won't be around forever. I'm worried about all of you, especially.
Especially?
You especially.
Oh.
Why are you telling me this now?
I smile. So it's not a shock later on.
Why do you not think you will fulfill the deal you made?
Just scrolling.
I've ended someone's life who didn't deserve it, and I'm not doing that again.
I admire that. I'm not even going to do an insight check.
You can see he's being pretty earnest.
Roll that 20. Still earnest.
Alright. Thank you for telling me.
I stand up from the table, walk over to Jacqueline, put my hand on her shoulder, and I say, I love you.
He's behind me?
Yeah, he's got his arm on your shoulder.
And turn. I stand up. I stand up and look at Sakaris in the eye. I hug him. And I say, I love you too.
Right.
This is where we start the festival.
Mouse Karis, what are you doing? You're going under the door?
Where are you going to see Asparagus?
Into the locked room.
Yeah, the supply room.
I will scamper inside and look around first.
Okay, looking around, you can see that there's it's dark. First of all, what are you doing?
No, I have an idea, but I'll do it later.
Okay, it's dark. There are several different like canisters that hold plenty of different things. There's a the mace you can actually exceptionally see because it's upright and it's like in a glass case.
Alright, I will turn back into a tiefling.
Okay. Bag in hand.
And I will start filling up the bag with everything valuable.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, Sakaris, you shatter the glass directly in front of you. When you do, there's this loud blaring sound. Everyone can hear it. It sounds like air horns going off. And just blaring loudly in the middle of this. The woman drops whatever she was doing, and she just rushes in. Open the door! Open the door! And
don't do that.
What?
Huh?
Never mind.
As she's shouting this, the boy unlocks it, and the entire room. The door opens and flooding out, because this is only like a 5-foot space.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a big space.
Yeah. This entire corner of the bar is done.
Everything beyond, because it's only 15-foot radius, it covers like half of the bar.
Alright, so for an agreement, then me will be behind your card.
Alright, that's fine with us. Doesn't bother us any.
Alright. Right, there you go, me. Then you move your card up. We'll ask Shalay to move switch spots with her, because she's okay with it.
That does actually bring up a point, though. When did you want to do the meeting, by the way?
That was a good point. A lot of crazy things happened last night. We couldn't come to you. I was going to go look.
Oh, we weren't going to do it last night anyway. It's on the road. It's much easier, or we can just move our carts side by side.
I'll talk to Harvey about it and let him know, and then I'll come back to you when he gives an answer.
All right, that's fine by me.
All right. Hey. Talk to you later. Me, go for it. And
Alright,
then
Mead moves his cart forwards. The person that he essentially said he hired is this individual that's got like red robes on with like the hood completely up. The hood has actually like
did
small.
he actually hire him, like pay him?
No, you just see that he's there.
I know. Well, I was thinking because why would he pay another member? Like why would he pay for another member of his group to help him?
I mean, you don't know.
To keep in the secrecy.
But
okay.
To make it
keep
look
the
yeah,
real.
you can see he's got like a pale face on. He's got a little bit of some face marking tattoos that are like black that go from here and across.
That's not suspicious at all.
It's a Dragon Ball.
Jesus Christ!
You've seen plenty of people with black markings on. You see there all the time in the tribal camp.
It's true.
Alright guys, I got a good look at Mead's little bodyguard guy, and I explained to him what he looks like. I don't.
He's got black markings that go cusp out towards the top of his head, kind of like.
Any of us make a history check?
Yeah, you can make a history check if you want. Those
From one of my sailor days.
well, less of that. Something my father once told me was there's this nation called
Called the Dragon.
well, no, they're a part of it's their. I guess you could call them Thians. They're like a group of individuals that essentially had to leave their country because of mage that turned all living matter into undead. So they had to flee, and a lot of them were what other nations called Red Wizards. They're very powerful spellcasters.
Do I have to roll to have any knowledge of this?
No, because you don't remember it before.
What?
The thing is that they're mainly a part of the Sea of Swords coast, so
yes, Publius.
so being
How
around
did I
here would
forget
make
about
sense.
them?
Alright. So
I'm just going. How did I forget about that?
Yeah, you read too
I
many
re-
things.
I remember when that report came through.
Yeah, now you do.
It was awful.
alright, so
Yeah, they're really they're from what his father
I
had
actually
said.
threw up reading that report.
They're not very trusted and very disliked amongst a lot of other nations.
in front of the cart, I will kind of like not cautiously, but whatever. I will try to hold Moon Shadow and try to, I guess, feel. Does it feel any different when I hold it?
When you're holding it, the just holding it there's nothing there, but being on a horse, you're bucking back and forth. You feel like you might have accidentally pulled it, but it's not coming out of the sheath.
Oof.
Like you're pulling, now that you've tried and it felt like a little strange that it wasn't coming out, you're pulling on it, it's not coming out of its sheath.
I mutter to myself, I had a feeling this would happen.
There's up ahead of you, there's like a road that veers off to the right. All of your carts just keep going past, and it's several, like hundreds and hundreds of feet ahead. As you get closer and closer, Zacharis and, well, what was your roll again? 19, Zacharis?
19, yeah.
The path on your right begins to get closer and closer and closer. And then there's a brief sound coming to the left of you. Like far left, beyond the trees that you can see. And for a brief moment, the sound vanishes. And then you see this small metallic cart that has this horrifying creature that's like wrapped in thick metal chains, comes veering out. On the spokes of the wheels, there's several different spikes, and it's just covered in these pale green creatures that all have leather armor on. One of them has like a chain shirt and a shield.
Goblins.
And it comes up ahead and slams into the side of Shayla's cart. And the horses get scared and shoot off to the right side of the path. And the cart follows with them.
Well, fuck.
So directly in front of you, there's nobody there. Randall, you're currently holding the reins. What do you do?
Go right or go left?
Right or just go straight?
Your car, Randall.
Yeah.
You're the one with the range. You're the one with the range. You're gonna decide fast. It's coming up. It's coming up.
Do I hear us?
You probably heard the crash. It
Everyone
just
heard
went.
the crash.
Parts of the rest of their cart just kind of get chipped off from several of those spikes. The horses are all just freak out neighing and they just screech off to the side.
Jail's the
Alright,
only
duck
one we
down.
trust.
Yeah,
Duck down.
what we can know.
Harvey just kind of ducks. Just kind of he dives into some pillows. Just
Stay there.
What's more?
I'm ready with my weapon.
okay.
I
You're
mean,
still
I
in a
gotta go
locked
after her.
room.
Yeah.
You take it and go after.
I mean, I'm a god of justice.
So basically, you hear Randall just like veer the cart to the side. The cart kind of like sways briefly to go back down that path.
Got you. That.
You easily can feel it because the whole cart shifts. The carts were behind you as well. Okay, it's fine. You can see the wrapping that essentially attached the cart that holds the 3 guards behind you get spun around. There's a brief moment where it looks like they're about to slam into a tree as you veer off, and it rights itself.
But
Yeah,
I make sure they don't.
you turn the cart like a car. And
I have proficiency. I know how to. I can do this.
From behind you, you hear another just metallic cart with the same kind of creature. This creature has like several stumps where you would think wings would be. It has a barbed tail and it's got like this human face, but it's just got several different rows of teeth just gnarled.
On deck.
Okay, I'm going to cast Erupting Earth on the goblin cart beside our.
Okay, so they take 3d12 bludgeoning damage, half on the successful one. So roll 3d12.
Nasty spell.
25 points of damage.
So what happens is you hold out your palm, and this small like obsidian stone like rock forms in your palm, and you just crush it, and the ground right beneath them. As they're beginning to move, you put it up just a little bit, and you time it, and you just these several rocks and jagged earth just shoots upwards in like several spines. All the goblins are normally dead. They're fucked. They're gone. They don't exist ever again. They're dead way back there. The leader takes them with force and just pushes on through it. The manticore also just gets like hit, clops forwards, and leaps into the air partially, and only some of the jagged earth hits it. The other one is going to do the same thing, except to Trey.
Oh no.
Natural 20 on 1.
He's dead.
Bye, Trey.
The other 2 miss, though, without him having to use shield. Okay, so one of the spines hits, the 2 spines are too close together and they hit each other and just shoot off into the distance. One of them goes straight into his jugular. And he takes quite a bit of damage. You can see he basically falls forwards completely unconscious. Well, you can't see that, but you just see him fall forwards after this massive spine rips through his neck.
21.
Okay, you both would have heard this, but it's fine because in reality, only Zacchaeus would have known it now. Go for only now.
Ah, nice.
You hear Shayla in the cart as well, but you also hear a subtler voice in the other bag that's in there. And you just hear her, she's very tense.
What the fuck?
And it's just shaking violently as well.
Is that before I go to attack that guy?
That's before you go to attack that guy.
So can I stop?
Yeah, if you can stop.
Actually, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna still kill
You're
that
still
guy.
raging. Just...
I'm still killing that guy.
That's that. You still have a bonus action if you wanted to do anything?
Could I check what's in like?
Yeah, you can try to open up one of the bags.
Well, alright, I'll do that.
Yeah, you have a cunning action. You can open up one of the bags.
Alright, is it like? Do I have to roll to see whatever I get out?
This would be athletics or sleight of hand. Athletics would have advantage.
I'll do athletics.
So I'm probably thinking athletics.
Yeah. You said
advantage because you're raging.
What the fuck?
Well, what was it?
The
5
first one was
plus
5. Okay, 10.
10? That's enough to open up a leather sack. You
Alright,
rip
nice.
it open. What?
I'm just like, I'm just imagining like the person in the one that's like fucking going crazy sees us raging and
uppercuts.
Which bag were you opening, by the way? The one that was flipping out?
Yep.
Okay. With advantage. Okay. So what happens is you rip it open, and you see a halfling woman
Oh, boy.
She's got long jet black hair that goes down to her neck, or that goes down to her waist, which is only about like a foot to 2 feet, because a half individual is very small. She reaches out with her hands to try to claw at you, and they just kind of like scrape off, and you just kind of chuckle softly. It kind of just scrapes off some dead skin.
Oh god.
Then she looks at you. Oh, sorry. What's going on? And she just lays him down, grabs a bunch of flowers, and puts them on his hair. She took out all the arrows that were stabbed into him, all the stems as well, kind of tried to brush up, clean, do whatever patchwork she could to his clothing before placing him inside of the hole.
Okay. I'll put that bear talisman that I've been carrying around in my pocket. I'll put it on his chest before we bury him.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot we still have those.
Yeah, you guys got those from the kobolds back at the cultist camp.
I still have my evil one.
Mm-hmm. So you put that down, and you can see it's got like this really kind of disturbing beady eyes, and looks back up at you as you place it back down. And she just kind of starts to cry. She's just beyond herself and just falls to her knees.
I crouch down beside her, put a hand on her shoulder. I know what this is like, and I'm sorry.
I don't even want to ask. This whole purpose of going this way, sure, I'm trying to create a connection, do whatever, but we went originally for my brother. He was trying to right himself, and I don't know about your friend, but doesn't know the whole story. The entire time Trey was alive, he was just bullied, beaten to near death. When he was at Baldur's Gate, the school of magic there, just everyone was so... He would come home silent. That's when he stopped talking. He stopped responding to questions, He was much more lively, and now he's dead, and I can't fathom how that can even happen.
I'm sorry. I could have done something and I didn't.
It's not much anyone could have done. I don't know the story, I don't know what happened, I just know that when I came out of the bag, he was dead.
Promise me one thing.
What promise would this be?
Don't end up like me.
So who are y'all? What are you lot? What are you doing here?
I'm not. Me and Rex aren't there, right?
No, yeah, you two are doing your own business.
We're still minding here, walking by.
Yeah, you guys are doing your stuff. Gopher and Randall, you two are the ones that she's talking to. So she says those to you.
Technically we're currently somewhat lost, and I'm Randall, and that's Gopher.
Well, my name is John Gleamsilver. I was stripped away from my cards, believe it or not. Little bastards probably just want something to sleep with. They killed every other male that was on my group, and here I am. So, thank you. I was gonna fight to my last breath for sure, once they got me back to wherever they wanted to be.
Well, at least you're alive.
Yeah.
Cool. If you would like to travel with us, we're trying to get to Waterdeep.
Oh, Waterdeep are you? That'd be fantastic. What purpose are you going for?
To go to Waterdeep, pretty much.
Just to go to Waterdeep? You've seen these cards before. You see the macro-made carriage and the Lard Lord's card. You definitely see the Lard Lord. You can see him from space, essentially. You do see all the cards are totally lined up now. They seem to have compiled together briefly so they can stay in this format. They're still about 20, 30 feet away from each other.
Randall, far.
I literally just pull into Mark.
Yeah.
I really don't say much.
To
the group, we're good.
You can see that. Towels, I can clean this up.
You can see that everyone is currently dead.
Yeah, no, everyone's alive. But
and Alan's the only one left.
Yeah, you
Lardo
see,
is like just crazily eating him.
Yeah.
Gluttony. Just I ran out of rations. Anyways, what you see is this clearing. Some people have set up tents. It looks like the head cart has set up a few small living quarters. The Lord has set up several bedrolls to accommodate for himself. Each of the carts also have a barrel, it looks like one of Mean Mead's barrels. And when you approach, you see Mean Mead. You guys made it back?
We're alive.
You're alive. Well, I was just celebrating with everyone else that we got through Thieves' Way, so take a barrel. And he places a barrel in front of Gopher.
Gopher, you must share.
You're gonna have to share. There's 45 gallons of liquid in this.
He did it once before.
Listen, I'll think about it. Everyone goes to sleep. You see some people that were keeping watch over in the other groups begin to fall and sleep. And then you see Mean Mead fall asleep, Karn fall over asleep, and Alan's still awake. He kind of looks around confused. And
I know the one person we're missing.
Sakaris, you see Rex, who's near you, keeping vigilant watch, falls over unconscious. With your natural 20, you also see several figures in the dark that are nearby. Ryder's also asleep. Funny enough, not because of one thing. Not because of the drink. You see several figures in the darkness. There's a few near you. I need to get little figurines out for them. But that's what there's about 7 or 8 of them near your cart and near all of you.
Okay, shit.
The one directly in front of... What is he, unconscious? No. Okay. The one directly in front of Ryder leans forwards and pulls out this small vial of substance. Can't really see what it is, but he begins to chug it with his bonus action. These 3 know what it is. You 2 have no idea what this is. As you guys haven't experienced it yet.
What?
It's like steroids at that.
Well, I have a feeling, I think.
So what happens is you guys hear this disgusting bone cracking deformation sound coming from where Ryder stands. You can't really
Hang on. Is it the black, the stuff that turned for long to scale?
Yeah. Yes, so you have seen it.
Yes.
Well, you haven't seen the substance. You've seen this effect. You would not have seen the substance though.
Yeah.
You guys hear the disgusting deformation sound, and you see 2 massive wings just sprout from a figure that's standing in front of Ryder. And you hear just... And he takes 2 massive clawed hand strikes against Ryder. Okay. Alan's group looks around, and Alan will snap his fingers briefly, and these 2, kind of ghostly blades show up on 2 fingers, and he hurls them at Randall. Alan? With advantage because of the surprise. The first attack is a 14.
No.
Yep. Second attack is a 25.
Son of a...
You were planning on shield? Because the thing is that you can't have the reaction when you're surprised. So shield wouldn't have been able to be triggered anyways. So what happens is, you guys see this kind of crude smile kind of smirk up from Alan. He goes,
well, I know them. And he hurls these like blades at you. There's like a small like chain that intersects both these shuriken type of weaponry, and they're thrown at you. One of them you just kind of block upwards. The other one stabs into your chest, and you find 2 vials of ooze, about 25 more arrows. Each of them had about 5. So actually more like 35 arrows. Alan and the bard don't seem to actually have much of anything on them. All these people don't have any coin purses, nothing of substantial value. Investigating, though, you do see 2 things. There is an exploded mark of like a spark symbol on the stomach of Alan, and you have to go find it, but on the back of the bard's head, there is a blown out spark symbol from part of the hair. They get to kind of move back, and there's the spark symbol on there. At that point, you also kind of look up, and you don't know where the other carts went. They are long gone. You get these visions. You do get your long rest in still, because you saved.
Alright.
Just barely.
Alright.
There's this moment where you feel the same energy as you did before. This presence, this binding to a post with... The image is much more vivid. You see the night hag that you had seen before.
Oh.
You see the sea hag beside her.
No.
And you see an unconscious you strapped to a post.
I remember that.
There's a moment where the blue skull flame brushes up against you, and this time you see something enter your body.
Oh.
It's dark, it's black, and once it enters, you see this pulse of black veins that overlap across your entire body.
Death.
And then they vanish.
Oh, okay.
And then in the far distance, you hear clattering of footsteps and torches, and you see Strauss Driscoll and your companions that were on the ship coming to save you. And then you get knocked back out from that image. You see a picture of a crevice, very deep, nearly 50 feet down, that's just sand. It's almost as if there's a digit into the ground that was just punched in. It's covered in sand. Given area has no foliage except for the lipping ring around it. And at the very bottom, you see a swirling mass that just takes shape, and these disgusting dust creatures emerging out of it. Much like before, where you had seen several hands emerging out of the same sort of pit. Except this time you can see it more clearly. The image is more vivid.
Okay.
Once you do see this, it cuts over, pans backwards, further and further into the air, and you can see just to the left of that is this very large link. And it zooms in very quickly, and you see a very white flower with red prawns.
Oh.
And it zooms back out once more, and you wake up from your dream. Help what I need. Get my job done that I was meant to do, and then go back to El Terral.
Wait, what?
My job is to go to Waterdeep, and then once that job is done and do what I need to do there, head back to El Terral.
Who are you working for now?
Like I said, I don't feel like I need to tell you.
Let's kill him. We might be working with some people too.
You work with El Terral. Who in El Terral do you work under?
He's Emerald.
You point over to... you lean on the side, you point over at Rex.
And I'm also being quiet.
Telling you about this.
Well, I mean, if you work in El Terral, that seems fine to me. Yeah. I work for someone there. Someone you probably don't know. So.
Alright. It seems like our paths might be
intertwined?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not quite sure myself, but we'll see when that time crosses.
As long as you can hold your own in a fight, we don't care.
Yeah, I've seen that I can do fine.
Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah, she do fine. I see her kill a couple goblins with her own.
You did say that 2 individuals fled? Yeah? Harvey, or not Harvey, me, and Alan? Did you know these people?
Alan is dead, and the rest of his cart fled.
Yeah.
But me, yes.
Did you know these people, or?
We thought we did. Mead said he was part of the Harpers, but
How did he show this sign?
he showed his patches, which we should have known that it was nonsense.
It didn't look like this, and she pulls out, she slides up from her waist, like underneath her shirt, another symbol of the Harpers, and slides it across her armor.
No.
I have another question before we go on our own sleeps. Any last news on Watergate?
Any news as in what?
Like any recent activity happening at Watergate?
I just know that they were attacked by Spocks and cultists. There was a mixture of explosions, blew up a few homes, blew up the remaining. It was vacant, but the remaining Church of the Bahamut temple that was there, that was blown up. They targeted a lot of
Wait, the remaining
empty homes.
The remaining was empty? What?
Yeah, the better part of a year ago or a year and a half ago.
They all left?
Yes, they took what they could from the archive and left.
Idiots.
Max Sheila did tell you that.
I didn't pay attention to her. I just assumed she was angry.
That's probably why she was angry at you. But, yes.
They didn't report this to...
They didn't say anything?
Not that I was informed of.
After another half hour, still don't see them, but you do see in the far distance, there's like a divot into the road. The trees at this point have began to become less abundant to being nearly gone once you get closer and closer to this divot into the ground. Once you pass the clearing of trees, you can see this massive sand dune that's just embedded into the ground. It goes nearly about 45 feet deep. Not dipping, but like over a small crest, it goes down into what looks to be about 45 feet and then crests back upwards. And
Sinkhole?
it's pretty much like a massive sinkhole, but it's not.
Because the sand dune goes up.
Yes, but it's a digit into the ground. It doesn't look like it's as far as you can tell, it doesn't look like it's gonna sink anything. It just looks like a lot of sand in like a pit.
Yeah.
So.
Do we see them still, or no?
You do not see them. You can see that there were cart tracks that went down into the sand.
Do I see tracks coming out?
It's the expanse of it is nearly 700 to 800 feet in diameter. So looking across, you might see something. You're not necessarily sure what, but you can see it is expansive.
Can I follow the tracks well enough to know that they don't just disappear into the center?
Yes, you can see that they go into the center and then they do travel for a distance and they kind of get out of sight ever so slightly. You do see nothing. Randall, what you see is as the stag hits the sand and begins to trot upwards into the direction, it's still about 300, 400 feet away from breaching what looks to be like more trees along the side of it. You see these like sandy, grasping hands that begin to like lurch forwards towards it. Not even close to it, but like several feet behind it. And as it kind of like moves upwards, there's you can see like a jagged head just kind of like burst upwards, not fast, but just kind of emerge from the sand.
I don't like this.
What? What do you see?
The sand's alive.
I look over.
What do you mean alive?
People can see it. I'm going to need people to roll initiative. As you've seen creatures like this before. What you see above you as well, towards the lip of the ring, you see this rock looking, it's about like 4 or 5 feet tall, fully rock formed creature kind of lift up towards the edge, just and several of the methods just kind of chant at the same time, just and at the lip of the ring because he's halfway up, so 150 feet further is this rock creature up at the lip, in the direction that the stag is
Jordan, is that one creature?
Anyways.
Yes. So traveling around, you spot the deer. Traveling through the trees, trying to keep up. It's going the same pace as you, so it's beating most of you. Gopher can actually get closer, but is trying to stay within general sight. Eventually, you lose sight of it. Once the trees kind of open upwards, you see right at the opening of the trees, the deer turns left and is gone. Ahead of you, you see an expansive lake. It is easily about 15 foot or a 50 foot radius lake, so it's about 100 feet wide, coasting all around. There's several bits and pieces of trees. In the far corner, you see a fairly larger tree. The water itself, though the surface looks pale, clear blue, the bottom of it is dark, and you can't see too far deep. It's maybe you can only see about 5 foot deep before it just cuts off your vision. It goes in deeper, much like a normal lake does, so you can see the ground before it begins to dip in further and further.
I'm gonna put my hand in there. I put my hand in there.
Yeah, so you put your hand in. It's fairly cold. It's got a little bit of some heat, or a little bit lukewarm because of the sun, but it's not burning you or anything. You leap in, splash in. You still have the flower in your hand, yeah. Because you ate only another petal, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
After some time, the petals just kind of float off.
No, I don't think it worked.
You two do not see him return.
Oh.
You, underwater, you go to swim, and immediately you can't move. You continue to delve deeper and deeper in.
Can I breathe?
You can try. I mean, right now you're holding your breath.
Okay, I'll try.
You're not able to breathe. You're currently suffocating. After a few moments, the area around you gets lighter, and you get shot upwards. So what you see first, Ryder, is breaching the water. The entire area is...
When you walk away, you don't hear me say
Everything is vastly different. The pond itself, or the lake itself, is the same size, and the tree is still there. However, every article of foliage is drastically different and differently colored. The leaves themselves have purples, greens, yellows, intertwined in the same tree branches. Looking at the blades of grass, each of them move methodically with their own intention. Like they have each individual blade of grass has their own mind. Looking around,
You can see a couple blades of grass slapping each other.
I mean, there's probably plenty of those, but breaching the water and seeing this, you look up into the sky, and the sky has this green hue, and you see the sun up in the corner in a completely different position than when you were previously there. You three, including Zacharias, hear something. Apart from just the sound of the melodic music, just this... And from the trees, you just see these horns emerge first, followed by a standing, tall, incredibly muscular ox standing on 2 feet with a massive great axe in his hand. Just...
Minotaur!
That's not the stag.
It is not the stag.
That's not the stag.
And he just charges straight towards you. In that moment, the sound drones. The shouting drones. There's this faint, just high-pitched whine that kind of emanates throughout the area. Your ears start to kind of tense up and hurt. The Minotaur just goes to one knee, plants the great axe into the sword, or into the ground, into the ground, and emerging from nature, it seems, there's several different flecks of insects, followed by vines, followed with a swirl of tree leaves. This woman appears with bark skin texture. This this woman or this breastplate that has pale orange and red texture and color to it, that has a crest of what looks to be a lyre as well, that's embedded into like black etchings along it. And this goes along down her entire body.
Keep playing.
During this portion, she holds up her hand, and from that, her eyes flicker into a green, and the Minotaur just goes to all fours, bows his head, and slams it into the ground.
Are we safe?
I think so.
I would assume so, yeah. Welcome to the Feywilds. I have to thank you for escorting myself here.
Oh, you were the golden stag.
More or less. It's a little more complicated than that. It's a pleasure to see you again, sir. And she kind of looks at Zakaris and says these words. Zakaris, you've never met this person before.
Last time I talked to you, you were a goatman.
Well, actually, I don't know the conversation before that point. I just know that I was returned. To give a brief explanation, I was fragmented, essentially. I'm sure you've noticed in your plane changes in power.
All magic when we cast spells?
Yes. It's been augmented, changed, affected of sorts. Does that sound about right?
I did fly 50 feet in the air after casting an attack spell, so yes, I think we noticed.
You also disappeared a couple of times.
I have.
Trying to heal yourself.
Well, that is partly from this place. The fey magic that dwells here is very chaotic in its nature and does not mix well with things on your material plane.
What?
It's not meant to stay there. The image fades and you hear the same woman's voice. You've been fated to come here the moment you made a sacrifice. Such a self-sacrifice is not something many would do in your stance. And I saw this as a sign of change. And an image of you meditating with the moon druids once more begins to fade in, except it's more third body. You're seeing yourself balancing atop the plank with the stick underneath it. And you're watching as your skin grows blemishes and imperfections, while this essence around you begins to have a calm atmosphere. And the voice begins to speak once more. That was the beginning of the change. You've been tormented by your past, raked in self-guilt. And you see an image of a woman. A leather sack over her head as she lays to her side at your feet. Blood pooling as you stand there next to her. The image then changes to a boy. Yourself, long ago. Though you can see a red mist forming behind him with a sinister hatred. And it just speaks out. Yes.
I look her in the eyes. I'm gonna take her hand. Save me from myself, please.
Allow my nature to relieve some pain and anguish that you have long lived with. And in that moment, there's a rush. Wind just begins to blow straight against you, and all the images around you begin to fade. Colors begin to form into the area around you, and you snap back into reality. I'm gonna go grab everyone. What the rest of you see is Jacqueline in particular. You also see her forehead just rest against his forehead for a few moments. It's like almost about 30 seconds pass.
God, this is weird.
And then you see this coating of green covering Zacharis. It's very thin. It's almost like lights just forming over his skin. So it's just translucent. You can still see his red skin as his form begins to shrink. Very small wings begin to burst out from his back. Whoa! And what's in front of you is a sprite individual. Yes. So like maybe a foot tall, fluttering in the air.
Asparagus, and I poke at him.
You have that ring, right? That water walking.
I do. Still, I show him.
Yes, that's nice. Probably should have told you this a long time ago, maybe. That ring, I know what the curse is.
Okay. Do
it
tell.
Tells, yeah. I take like 3 steps back, and I get ready to run just to...
Get ready to die. So what you see is
I back up too.
Zacharis backing away towards the water, just like like a little bit of some neck strain, and kind of pulls on the collar of his clothing a little bit.
Asparagus?
That's not a good sign, is it?
That ring tells the cult where we are.
Oh.
Tells who?
That explains a lot.
Yeah, she said
it does.
Like does. Zacharis, make an intelligence check, quick.
Alright, I start running. Oh shit. I don't know what he's talking about.
Gopher's like here confused, like, what?
15.
Okay, that's enough to remember the specifics of the ring. Something might have been a little wrong. You remember, after kind of like recollecting of everything that happened beforehand, and you recall being told that you remember that it's less of it tells them of where they are, it quite literally tells them what's around, what's happening, what's being said. It can pick up actual audio. It doesn't specify what they're doing or like where they are. Creatures can hear through it. When getting closer and closer, the further out from the center of the city, there's a very large structure. There's like, it's varying in building sizes, but there's one that has like a spire that goes up to a tip at the end, and that seems to be more delegated to the center of the city. Further and further away from that, you can see more damage to the buildings. Some of them have completely collapsed in, stone walls have smashed, bits and pieces of it look to be charred, almost blackened from some kind of flame or substance. And that's what you gather from this distance. So now we're going to go over to Zacharis and Jacqueline. So you two are traveling towards the religious district. And
wherever the hell that is.
You've seen it. When traveling to the port, it's closer to the center of the city. It's near that big spire as well. Getting closer and closer. Zacharis, you're familiar with this area. You know that the archive and every buildings that are closely related to it are religious in nature. So getting there was not difficult in any sense. However, when you get here, you can clearly see that many of the religious buildings that involve the Church of Bahamut, they look to be really underwhelming and unkept. So there's moss growing on the wood, there's destroyed, chipped pieces of it, several scorch marks in different places. Okay. And when initially, going into it, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of individuals inside it, but you can tell that they once did have a very prevalent religious group and faction here.
This isn't that marvelous, however.
Yes, Zacharis, what you remember is the entire city did not look like this. It looked much more normal, well-built, actually quite nice. All the buildings were very well kept up. There was guards patrolling here and there. It seems very ramshackle now. And the religious buildings themselves were almost the highlight of the city. They were pristine, even with all of the damp atmosphere. They didn't look to be days old, and that lasted for years. So this immediate shock of this is actually very powerful to you.
What are we supposed to do here?
Apparently Randall thought they could help.
But there's no one around.
Randall, I received your request and wish that there was more I could do. Sending troops to Elturel at this time is unfortunately impossible. The court has ruled that there are higher priorities that need to be attended to rather than protecting the domed capital. I have more grave news that I wish did not come to pass.
You're done.
The court has also ruled that your sister Mara has turned traitor to the church. They believe she was the cause of your attacks years ago. As a result, they are removing her power to the head figure and have been made the target of arrest and persecution. Due to this, they questioned your authority as well, deeming it necessary to revoke your power and standing. I fought to clear your names of any misconceptions, but it was for naught. My chair has been revoked, and I am now stripped of my own power. Though being not of blood, I saw myself as your father, you and your sister. With these coming events, I fear I have failed in protecting my young. Do what you desire now, just be wary of using the church's name, or you might find yourself being prosecuted. You'll always have a home with me, myself, in the city. Christian. John was just kind of like, John was like, so what's it say?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I mean, I feel like I'm a little responsible for getting you your letter.
She pulls
out her canteen, just
looking for new members.
Oh my god!
What?
Please.
Looking for new members.
I mean, we're always looking for able hands.
You want to find a bunch of church people who up and left and deal with this cult?
Jacqueline and Zacharias, after maybe only really a few minutes, Zacharias, you remember that your home was actually generally down the road, maybe more than like a few blocks from the archive. And going to where you believed your home to be, you find something that is nearly just as shocking as seeing Waterdeep itself. With the archive in sight, just far down the road, this home can barely be called a home. The stone walls are scorched, burned, missing chunks out of several of them that are facing the street. Glass from the windows are shattered, sprawled out throughout the outside. The entirety of this outwards appearance looks destroyed and uninhabited for many years. The scorch marks look more recent than the more destroyed pieces of wall, as the wall has several large amounts of moss and mildew that looks to have been growing for several years. Checking on the inside, just through the broken windows, you can see that many bits and pieces of broken glass and just scattered all across the floor. Furniture that resides inside of it looks old, decrepit, and covered in patches of green mold and moss. A painting seems to have fallen over up against the side of the wall. That's what you can gather from the outside of the glass. Jacqueline, what you see is essentially a completely destroyed home. The walls have crumbled, the ceiling has caved in bits and pieces. It doesn't look like anyone's lived here for many years.
To be fair, he hasn't. As far as I know.
Zacharias?
Lynn? Oh, he's grieving.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what I expected.
You haven't been here for how long?
3-4 years.
getting down into this room, though being old and still a bit decrepit, it's of a lot higher quality than the upstairs room. Being with such old air, the wood that was part of tables seems to have at least contained and it didn't rot away. On top of the table, there are several just scatterings of paper. Several of them are actually pinned up to what look to be a wooden wall that have lines intersecting in each and every different portion of it.
It's a conspiracy theorist den?
It could be compared to like a conspiracy theory.
I was literally gonna make a joke, and it's got red twine going to them.
It's not red, but it's line work. It's like chalk lines that go to certain portions. Looking around, there's also just crates of substance.
Ew.
And I mean, you haven't looked inside of them.
It's just shit.
But that's what you initially see when you come down here.
Do I know what this room was for?
You would definitely remember because it was very prominent with your mother's work. Do you want me to say that out loud? Do you care?
I mean, you just did.
Well, it's very reminiscent of when your mother would do work for the archive. She would come down here, and anything that she brought home from it would go into this basement.
I see. Well, I suppose we should just look around and see if there's anything useful.
So you can go up to the crates, make an investigation check. Both of you. Checking out the table, that has a lot of information on it, and with a 17, you can see that it has several of them have markings of what look to be comparable to the archive, and it looks to be based off dates. Several years of them have been lined back and forth. Looking at a lot of them, though, and kind of equating where they're going, it seems to have a picture of a half-orc man named Turnitin Frous.
Okay.
And looking at the picture, this looks like Karn.
This is our new colleague. Everyone meet Felix.
Hello, you can call me Ash if you would like.
Oh yeah, explain it. Do you introduce yourself proper details now?
Yeah, he explained it. He said his name at least to the rest of you.
I really
The dragon of the darkest flame!
Oh god. I really don't want to talk about it.
Alright, that's fine.
Not a happy memory.
Can I ask this?
Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself since we're here.
Things happened in my past. I may no longer remember where my actual family is.
So, like Randall. In a way.
Well, his is dead. Mine's alive somewhere. Where, I don't know. All I remember is the town name.
Of, Sorry, I'm finding it.
Hurry up.
Sorry. Why else are the family names to you?
Hey Tyler, why don't you look that up and find it right now?
Bronus.
Bronus? All I know was its name was Bronus.
Well, just like Randall, I guess while on our journey, we'll help you find whatever memories you're missing.
Hopefully.
You have a dream. Mm-hmm. There is this... It's less of a dream and more of a feeling. The energetic flow of the moon, even though you're not outside and you don't have visual to the moon itself, you can almost feel its radiant light onto you. And it kind of almost lulls you awake, and your eyes kind of flutter open for a brief second, and you can see where Moon's shadow's sheath is, there is a bright light emanating from it.
Awake in the dark.
She gets out of bed.
Okay.
and goes over to the sheath, grabs Moonshadow by the hilt, and unsheathes it.
Okay. Unlike before, where it unlike before, where it nearly vibrated to the point of like a joy buzzer and shocked your hand, it comes out with ease. And when it does, the blade itself is different. It is just like Moonshadow, except that it is giving off a much brighter glow than when it was resting in the sheath. It also feels slightly lighter in your hand, almost as if it's more powerful just due to its magical nature. You can see that Jacqueline is standing there with the window kind of nearby and the moonlight just showing through it onto her. From behind her, you can see what looks to be almost like spectral wings of sorts. There's no feathers to them, but they have small tendril-like transparency to them that flutter behind her. And you can see just ever so slightly Jacqueline's feet lift off the floor. Jacqueline, you can feel light on your feet. Your feet do not come in contact with the ground currently. When you look down, you can see slight flittering of the transparent wings behind you. They look almost spectral and ghostly of sorts, but they have a slight sparkle to them when they're standing in moonlight. After about 10 minutes or so, that energy fades and the room grows dim once again.
She holds Moonshadow close to herself, almost giving an inanimate object a hug, because it's the closest she'll get to hugging, her god. And then puts it back in its sheath. Still goes to the parchment and quill.
Okay.
But no. Back up a little bit. Sorry.
Redacted.
I forgot one thing. Zacchaeus, you're still awake, right?
Yes.
Okay. What you see her clutch Moonshadow close to her, and a tear run down her cheek. But you can tell that instead of being bittersweet, it's more accepting. It's a lot warmer. She has accepted her role as the sorcerer paladin in this party.
Oh, sir. I forgot his name again.
Ardric.
Ardric. Oh, Sir Ardric.
Is there something I can help you with?
Yeah, I have a few questions about this neighborhood and stuff.
Alright.
How acquainted are you about this neighborhood? This upside.
Well, I know that everyone that's been around here tends to come here. Enjoys their time.
Good time. Do you know a person named
Turnison Frost.
Turnison Frost?
Your character would know, so that's fine.
Yes,
I've spoken a bit from him. Yeah, actually.
He lives around here, right?
He lives in the building, better part of a mile away from here. He's offered me protection for my home a few times.
Like, I'll say like how far away? Like a half hour ago, like here.
I mean, half hour for you, maybe you and your friend there, but for me it would take me probably a good hour.
Good hour.
He's a gnomish individual. He probably goes slower than you.
Yes, I see. I try not to
offend
him
him
as much as possible. I'm not Ryder.
No, for you it'd be approximately about half hour away.
Half hour away.
Yes.
Can you tell me about this person? Because I'm hearing a lot.
Frost is a nice man. He's offered me protection. He's offered plenty of people protection, especially during these times with the.
I heard he is a merchant too.
He does a lot of work. He is a business professional. He offers protection. He also is a landlord owner, and he's also partly does enchanting work. So he's an all around the board individual. So when you first enter this room, it's not locked at all. The immediate vicinity of this room is powerful. There are two statues of what look to be men with swords and shields, like drawn out, with one being raised, both perfectly identical to each other, except one has it in their left hand and the shield in their right, the other one has the shield in their left and then the sword in their right. To your right, you can see a very elegant, like, koi pond. It seems to have flowing water going through it, so you just hear this trickling of water, as well as this calming atmosphere about the entire vicinity. The ground itself seems to be laced in with nice tile work of yellows and reds, and then there's large red rugs that tend to go from doorway to doorway. To your left, you can see 3 doors. To your right, you can also see 2 doors, which are labeled the brown marks here, 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 and here. You can also see a staircase that leads upwards with these elegant red posts down it as like a rail guard, and those go upstairs. Directly above in that like centerpiece area is a massive portrait of what looks to be Karn. It is Karn riding what looks to be an elegant white horse with Fabio-like hair.
Just
typical nobles.
Just for reference.
Do I know who this is, or is this just some random person?
Make a intelligence history check.
As a mouse. You have to do it as a mouse.
Hey, what check was that, sir?
Intelligence history.
Yeah.
15.
15. You can tell, being a young tiefling, what your mother looked like when she was younger. This is very much so, very reminiscent. It's not exact, but it's reminiscent.
What the fuck?
You've also never seen her wear these clothes. You've never seen her in this type of scene, as it looks to be in a royalman's home type of scenario for the setting of the picture. So you could forcibly remove it from the wall, forcibly break the frame, but other than that, there's no real way to get the picture out of it without somehow causing damage to it.
I will attempt to rip it off the wall.
Okay, make an athletics check.
21.
So you're pulling on it, and it feels like it should come off, but it doesn't. It's almost like you can feel it literally pulling back on the wood that's attached to the wall, and then with like unnatural force, it just gets sucked back into place with your hands.
Okay, so with the longsword that I bought at some point in time, can I wedge it behind the frame and try to pry it off?
The what?
Wedge it behind the frame and try to
longsword that I picked up somewhere.
Okay.
I attempt to use it to drive a wedge between the painting.
Go ahead and make an athletics check.
11.
So you get it maybe a good like inch behind the wall, and you definitely start to wedge it, and with the leverage it's a lot easier, but as you're pulling back on it, there's that force once again that slams it back into the wall, and as such it slams the blade into the wall, and you just hear and the hilt falls as what's left of the blade that was behind the picture is gone.
You know what? Fuck it. I will just take what remains of the sword and attempt to cut away the canvas following the inside of the frame.
Okay, make an athletics check.
8.
This time you use the remnants of the blade, and not being sharp in any way now, you start to push against the frame, and you can see it starting to crack ever so slightly, and you almost have it, and then the frame itself bends back into place, the crack is repaired, and there seems to be no push or give to what you have done to it.
I open the door to go figure out what's going on.
Yeah, the moment you open the door, you can clearly see there is a fairly older, like woman. Clearly about, she's human as well. Maybe in her mid to late 50s or 60s. And she's crying as because you guys went back to a different inn, right?
Yeah.
The man that had helped assist you find the room, after a quick investigation, he has also gone missing.
So you open the door.
Yeah. I learned all that because it's from what's being said out there.
Yeah, people are like asking her what's wrong. She's just like, he's gone. I don't know where he went. He never came back home.
Close the door. Walk over to Cove and be like, this is the second innkeeper you stayed with that's disappeared, correct?
Yeah.
Because they mentioned the first.
The first one that was missing.
You
think this is a coincidence?
I hope it is. But to be safe, I think we need to leave.
I think so too.
Normally, to do it at a low level, you have a specific spot, a circle with certain symbols, and to be able to teleport them, you have to know those symbols, and it will teleport you only to there. These seem to be a little more complicated because A, it's not a full circle. A normal one would be big, and there'd be a lot of them. They've seemed, whoever's doing this has seemed to figure out how to miniaturize this. That's real powerful.
After hearing about it, because you haven't seen the sigil. After he explains it to you, an image just kind of flashes into your mind, some kind of recollection. You have seen this sigil before, but it looks different. You've seen it after use. This is before use. One of the sigils is completely devoid of its powerful magic, as you've seen that before, and you can only see the remnants of it. This one is more... You've seen this back in the tribal camp with the green hag, when she had vanished from that room. So you guys are going to exit the room, and as you do, the door doesn't move. You push at the door, as everyone else's has, doesn't budge. So we're going to pause with this. We're going to go down to downstairs.
11.
Okay. You two see this because it's very openly obvious. After Gopher has ripped open, because this would have taken some time as well.
So probably.
Ripped open all the barrels, or not all the barrels, all the crates into different portions. I'm just going to say that you probably layered them 2 by 2 instead of like having some of them be 3s. They have random bits of like cloth and food, perishable foods inside of them that seem to have been rotted. And right here, Zacchaeus and Rex, as Gopher has moved all the crates and not turned around at all, there seems to be a small digit in the wall right here.
Whoa.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's like right there's a small digit. And then at that point, the torch sconces in this room go dark red. And then we go over to upstairs.
Oh, shit.
I'm not going to move that because we're going to cut it after I give you a brief description. You go for the door, and as you kind of push against it, there's nothing that happens. The torch sconces that are in this room go dark red, and the entirety of this room turns into a red tint. You hear behind you just as the suit of metal that is there, the adamantine armor, comes into contact and forms into a humanoid creature. Directly on the wall next to you, you hear some vibration, and the sword dashes towards Felix. The shield lifts off the wall, and the opposing sword also unhinges. Right.
Alright. I want to cast Detect Magic.
Okay. Roll Wild Magic.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's 9.
Alright, you're fine. I was close.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me.
So, detecting magic, there is an immediate flow of an abundant amount of transmutation energy in the room in general.
Just
The entirety of the room. You can see energy coming off of the sword, energy coming off of the armor, energy coming off from the books, the bookshelf, the doors, the torches. Everything is coated in a thick layer of transmutation magic.
We should go find everybody else and then get out of here, because something is definitely fucking.
Yeah. I'll second that. Let's go find everybody else right now then. So we have to go through there.
So, are you guys just gonna run for the stairs? Because the stairs are up here first, and they go up.
I think we should just get rid of it.
If I'm correct, there is a door if we go out to our right?
Yeah, there's a door over here.
Should we take the stairs or go straight to that door?
We could go the long way around and then take the spiral staircase up and back.
I think that's the best choice right now.
We have to run past them though.
But I have a bad feeling there's more golems though.
Then do we try to be stealthy or do we just go for it?
I say we can be stealthy right now. I don't know if they notice us. So far, it's not.
I think they noticed.
I think there's no point right now. So we're gonna fight them anyways.
I'm gonna use those for animated armors. Use bugbears.
Yeah, I think we can just get rid of them, and then when we try to leave, we can just leave easy.
Always bugbears.
We'll follow your lead. Cause you're in front of the door right now.
Okay. So we're not stealthing.
Okay.
I'm just gonna throw the door open and run up the central staircase.
You're gonna run up the central staircase.
We'll do the same.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
spending your actions to dash. 5, 15, or 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, well, I'll just say, the moment you open the door and step out, this golem's face just looks straight at you. Immediately.
How did you guys get up here?
Well, we went up the stairs. Me and Gopher followed Sakaris.
So are there other stairs, or is it only the stairs up?
There's a spiral staircase, kind of in that direction, and I point through the wall that they were talking.
Yeah, so he points in like this general direction.
I think it's gonna be quickest to go there. We should go.
So I'm gonna go in the closet and fuck around then, I guess.
All right. When you leave that area, everyone can hear this.
Oh, okay.
As the statue, or not the statue, the painting, its eyes open. And it looks around.
Guys?
And in that, as you say guys, it just goes... And the entire area begins to have a high-pitched laughing sound coming from the painting. And you guys, all of you can hear this, other than those that are downstairs. Actually, no, even those that are downstairs can hear.
Oh!
You can hear music in the opposing room.
Hey, is that music again?
Yep, I threw it, but nope, I threw it once. This is the first time I've thrown it down there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Weird clarification, but okay.
Alright, let's go. Alright.
So you guys go into this room?
Yep.
Okay.
Just 10 sentinels.
As you guys step in.
You have to be the last.
You're last?
Yep.
Okay. Start to go down the stairs, kind of go as fast as you can. Fuck you. Take that.
No, fuck you.
I'm guessing we're being careful, just don't want it.
Yeah.
Alarms.
The moment that Rex steps in, the music stops. There's just no bathroom. We're gonna also now, time is now of the normal. So, you all that are in the stairwell can hear stomping from several directions.
They also heard. Did they hear the twang?
They heard the
wait,
twang.
Is Rex still invisible? I turn back.
Rex is still technically invisible.
Guys, go down.
I think this might be affected by the key.
Either the key or detect magic on a certain music box. Maybe.
Well, it sure sounds like their comments. We better hide.
There is not very much to hide. You can hide in the water, but that's about it.
I dive in the water as well. Wait, do I know how to swim? Shit!
Okay, so you guys see Zakaris and Ryder diving for what looks to be about foot deep of water.
He also said he turned into an animal.
Oh, you turned into an animal?
Barrel mode.
I'll allow this. Mainly because you're an illusion. So your figure would try to hide inside of a small barrel. I'm gonna allow it. Anyways, so Zacchaeus, you turned into a fish. Make a perception check.
That's a fish or
With my fishy eye.
With your fishy eyes.
That's a 17. I don't know what I have.
17. You see a digit very similar to the other wall digit that you have seen before in the base of the statue, or the base of the fountain that's kind of spraying out water.
So, Asparagus, fine. Take this key. Go find where you saw that keyhole thingy.
Okay, I put the key in the slot that I saw.
Okay, when you put it in, you twist. You can hear from under the water the sound of very rapid ticking as the clock just starts to spin rapidly, and you start to feel the ground beneath you just go.
Brace yourselves, everyone.
Only Zacchaeus, the one that's in the pond.
Oh,
Zacchaeus?
I was expecting to follow
Can we see
him.
the room?
Well, Zacchaeus, is anybody else in the pond then?
I am.
You're in the pond?
I'll be ready to catch Zacchaeus.
Well, this would have happened before you would have known that something was happening. Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus and Ryder make a dexterity saving throw. 11. Zacchaeus?
Not one.
Okay. Ryder places a hand just on the side and grabs onto it. The water from beneath you begins to pour out as the area around the base of the fountain begins to just like slide open. And you fall 10 feet and clang on your back onto what feels like metal bars. And there's like a wide open gap that's just dark. There's a few torch sconces that are just yellowing in the distance, but it's pretty dark. So, opening this door, there are massive amounts of nearly empty tables. There are a few bits and pieces of what look to be black substances laying on top of it, a few beakers that are tipped over. To your right is a single table that has a very lit green candle. About 6 barrels pushed up against the wall over on this side. To your left is just another empty table with a desk.
So that's those things are tables then?
These are tables.
Okay.
I'll mark them with lines. There you go.
I was thinking like maybe they're just a wall.
I thought it was a staircase.
No, these are tables. This has a chair as well. I forgot to put that in.
Okay.
Is there a green hag in here?
There's nobody in here, but you do see
our door.
There is a statue in this corner.
Who is it of?
It is of a female figure, and it has
My dick.
Ornate gold armor on with a long sword embedded into it.
Do I see anything with this magic?
Doesn't that seem... Oh, I mean, yeah, do I...
Yeah, you can see this entire room is coated in transmutation magic, and also a lot of necromancy.
Guys, this room is dangerous.
The tables have thick layers of necrotic energy, and this wall especially is coated in necrotic and illusion magic.
I tell him that. I tell him everything you just told me.
Okay, there's also a dresser in this corner.
Way, then?
Wait, yeah, what is over there?
This is a dresser.
That's a dresser?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's closed.
No, is that magic? Any sort
There's no magic on it.
On that dresser?
No.
What did anyone else find?
Can I make another investigation on that door?
Yeah, you can go over to it. So you open it up, and you can see that it goes inside a little bit, and there is a small childlike figure that's like on its side, and it looks very pale, completely on the side, on the bottom of the dresser. It is a wardrobe, and there is a child laying.
Can I make a medicine check and see if that kid's a lot?
You can make a medicine check.
17.
You go down. You initially go up to it, kind of brush up against the side. His skin is very cold, and you turn him over to his side, and his face looks normal. You can tell that he's breathing. There's some regulatory air. And then his eyes open, and you can see they are solid black. And in that briefest moment where you're like, what?
Oh.
Its mouth cracks, like the sides of his mouth crack slowly and just rip open, and there's jutted teeth, and it just goes.
You gotta step back.
And it's loud.
Shut it.
And in that moment, you guys can all hear it. Just it's like a high-pitched whining sound that resonates throughout the room. Ryder, Gopher, and Randall, or fucking damn it, Felix, keep doing that. You guys hear the sounds, and the walls begin to crack.
So the Black Moose thing, I explained to him.
So he explains to you that they've witnessed creatures like this before, and they've seen them months ago before even traveling to El Terrell. They explain the black flasks have been because they've seen the black flask being used. They don't know what it is though.
We don't know the extent of it.
Yeah, they know what it does. They haven't seen what it is.
But this could be a more enhanced version of it. A more dangerous one.
Yeah. So what's your guys' plan?
Let's investigate what room they were in at least.
Okay. Looking into the room, it is coated in a thick layer of what looks to be blood, and also draconic scales that have lost their color and fallen to the floor.
Yep, what I expected.
I've seen this one before.
You've seen identical to this room before. Cobblestone floor, walls, chains embedded into the walls, and also
so much blood.
A lot of blood. It's covering the floor, walls, and ceiling.
No way to identify anyone in there.
It's impossible, actually.
Not anything in there. If you go up and investigate the bodies, you can recognize them to being figures that were described to you.
I'm definitely investigating. You
Yeah.
want me to roll?
Well, one of them seemed... Yeah, roll investigation.
You two go first.
10 overall.
10 overall. Looking at them, they're hard to recognize, especially the kid, because part of his head is definitely gone. After they're down and this black ichor kind of pours out from them, their pale skin gets like even paler to the point of where the draconic scales just fall off like they're brittle pieces of chips.
Do I see innkeeper?
You do recognize a dwarven innkeeper. You recognize a fairly younger man, maybe in his 20s.
And old man.
An older man. And someone that you don't recognize at all. Their hair is completely gone, and they seem to be pale. You can tell it's a woman, but you can't tell who.
Do I know it?
No.
Well, we found our missing people.
Yeah, this is what they usually. This is what the Call of the Dragon usually does. Or what you
Have
guys
you
know
heard these bodies?
Sorry. Right, Rex, you would have seen this person. Because this person is the wizard woman that was in the cart before. Though she looks like she's been here for many weeks. But I still did nothing. You're the one that took your own mother's life.
I look over with confusion.
I've done a lot of bad things to a lot of good people. But you, my friend, I think I'll enjoy killing.
You think you're going to kill me? I've lived in this mansion for a while, doing sparks of my business for a while. Being relatively young myself, I plan to retain what I have. I plan to keep my job. I plan out my life. You are not one that's going to direct me. And in that moment, all the lights fade. And you hear the swords going towards you, and nothing happens. They go straight through you. And you hear
Ahead for us or behind us?
ahead of you.
I cast daylight.
What was that, Zakaris?
He said
You cast light on yourself,
Yeah.
Jacqueline?
I cast daylight.
Where?
Above us, I guess.
Okay, because the ceiling goes about, from where you're standing, the ceiling goes up 30 feet. when you're casting this. So it's hard to tell initially, but the ceiling definitely goes up 30 feet, and then these go up 15 feet as you're going up the steps. But you're casting daylight. How much light does that make?
Quite a bit.
What's the range of where you can put it?
Let me look.
I'll use a D12 for it. Because
A range of 60 feet, and it emits 60 feet of bright light and an additional 60 feet of dim.
okay, as you put it, generally like in the middle of the room.
Sure.
Okay, put it up into the ceiling. Everyone can suddenly see as what is charging directly towards you is a 15-foot tall construct of several different plated metals and massive fists that seem to be jutted out from the elbow, these large piston-like devices.